Well, good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday at 6 o'clock, a little after now, and once again, you're tuned into WMSE for Local Live. My name is Cal. We're back in the studio. Erin is here with me. Good evening.
Yes, it's nice to be back and to have you as my co-pilot. It's been like a solid 2 weeks since we've had a regular show.
Yeah, but we had a blast for the membership drive at Club Garibaldi last week.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and thanks to everyone who came out and donated some money.
That was super nice. We very much appreciate it.
We do, and we had so much fun with Nastos. They have a great record, and it was an awesome set.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we've got another awesome, kind of in the same punkish, rockish vein, but I guess more fittingly hardcore. Cal, you even use the word screamo.
Indeed.
But Snag has been around for quite some time. This is their first full length that's just come out last week on Middleman Records here in the United States. They also have labels, the records coming out, like, I guess, in a couple different countries. We'll dive into that, but first let's introduce the band. Brian on drums and vocals, Peter on bass and vocals, and Sam on guitar and vocals. And I think this record's really awesome, you know, kind of getting acquainted with their singles over the years. This is a really well-paced record. It kind of has these really nice down-tempo moments filled with like horns and strings, and then it goes full throttle, like you'd imagine hardcore music would. And the subject matter is a little unusual for most hardcore bands. They focus on quote-unquote climate anxiety. So I'm interested to talk to Peter, especially because I do believe he writes most of the lyrics.
Yeah, I love the fact that we need... I'm always clamoring for more more causes in music. It seems like sometimes we skip a generation and it's all just like old people and, old legends that are doing the protest songs. And it's cool to have some young people out writing about things that matter in the world. And I've never been super acquainted with screamo as a particular genre. Just the name kind of bugs me. But it's cool to get some exposure to it because I listened to this new album of theirs and I'm like, oh, I don't hate this at all. This is actually really great. And I mean, obviously I know the antecedents, the hardcore punk and the emo type of stuff, but you can kind of relate to it on a lot of different levels, I think, if you just like guitar-based music and dynamic music and punk rock in general. So we'll see what they do with it live. I'm pretty excited. And we just got a quick message here before we send it out to the live performance. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
WMSE's Local Live is supported by Club Garibaldi. Located at 2501 South Superior Street in Bayview. Open 7 days a week, Club Garibaldi serves burgers, hot wings, and more, and features live music weekly. For more information and Club Garibaldi's live music events, visit clubgaribaldi.com.
All right, kicking it off with a song called Flowers in the Springtime for David Buckle. Here is Snag.
All this humankind can't overcome its immediate interest enough to ensure its own survival, then you're right. The only rational response is despair.
This is Todd from Braid, and you're listening to 91.7 Milwaukee, WMSE.
All right, we're back in the studio. We've got Snag here with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Can you guys go around and introduce yourselves on the mics?
Sure. I'm Brian Wysocki. People call me Saki. I play drums and I do vocals.
I'm Sam Shimborski. People call me Sam. And I play the guitar.
How logical.
I'm Peter Murphy. People call me Peter. I play bass and we all sing.
All right. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
The first thing I wanted to ask is, because this was something that I was alerted to via that Milwaukee Record article that you guys did recently, the term scrams. I'd heard of screamo, of course, but scrams is new to me. Like, do you guys know the origin of that term, or when did that come to be?
The origin is it's a pejorative for that has basically become like more useful to differentiate between like screamo, which in like the popular imagination could be like anything with like screamy vocals at all.
Okay.
And this is like a kind of specific sound that happened in like the late 90s and early 2000s.
Okay.
Just kind of honing in on a specific screamo sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I know most people don't like to discuss genres too much, but I just wanted to clarify that because I was completely unfamiliar.
No, it's okay. We're a scrams band, so it's a pejorative, and we're taking it back. We're seizing it for scrams.
All right, for scrams everywhere. Snag is on your side. Excellent.
People call us grandpas. So.
Yeah. I was reading your Milwaukee Record article, which I'm sure a lot of your fans were reading because there's not a lot of stuff on you guys out on the web. And you were talking about how you're one of the only hardcore bands out there that uses climate change, as your main subject. And I was wondering, have you always made that your main focus when you're writing songs?
I think since we started the band, we had specifically climate change in mind, and along with just environmental crises everywhere, and just a lot of topics, including political turmoil and everything as well. So
okay, and I guess, you know, like, do you know of any other bands out there that you use hardcore to talk about climate change? Or I feel like it's pretty unusual, and it seemed from the article that you're one of the only ones. Is that true?
I think there's other bands that like are feeling the same sort of like generational anxiety that we are feeling, and like necessarily write about it, and write about it deliberately. But I think like we kind of like circled around like, let's make this sort of like the thing that we focus on, rather than like one part of a song or like one song or one part of an album or something like that. So we're like, yeah, I mean, there's no shortage of subject matter to be like upset about, you know.
Now, do you guys have activist parents? Like, did you grow up in a climate of like a lot of politics in the house or anything like that?
I know my mom's listening right now.
You better get this right.
I wouldn't say activists, no, but they are very like open-minded people, and you know, they taught us to be open-minded and take care of people who need help and stuff like that. So
okay,
yeah,
I know that. I mean, for a lot of people, it takes decades of life before you even pay attention to politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when did you guys sort of become politically aware, would you say?
For me, it was like late high school, and then going into college, learning a lot more about the political climate, really rose awareness. So
okay.
I also would say high school, that I started to become aware of everything like that, but because of Peter here. We went to high school together, and he was in some political groups, and he'd be like, hey, come check this out and everything. So
Okay.
And I got involved in politics from just like going to shows, and my friends, like specifically Kelsey Kaufman, like got involved in like the DIY community here. Sam and I are from Mequon, and like we used to, you know, come down to shows when we were kids, and there was, you know, it was way more common then to see like in between bands have somebody like step up and talking to the mic about like a cause, and that works, like that tactic for like getting kids sort of like to wake up or to pay attention to certain things, like that really works because you're meeting them where they are, and that ties into like the whole all ages shows thing that's happening here now, like in Milwaukee, thanks in large part to Kelsey. Like kind of has been sort of, you know, doing that stuff for a long time, and she and others recently had success like changing the law, so now we can have more all ages shows.
Yeah.
And hopefully like you create circumstances where like young people are able to like go to more shows, one thing, and actually like play at more shows, which is another thing, but also like help Milwaukee be like as relevant as possible on a national scale musically, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So speaking of all ages shows and your formative years, what were some of those shows you remember going to when you were in high school, coming all the way down here, you know, from for like 30-mile drive or whatever?
Yeah.
What was worth driving that far to see?
There's a couple times that I kind of snuck out of the house to go to. There was a show I remember specifically that was so where Company Brewing is now, that was Stonefly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a space above it that they were having a show that was Cougar Den and the band Kid Crash and a couple other bands. But I remember specifically, like, you know, being familiar with kind of hardcore and screamo because of Cougar Den, and then seeing Kid Crash, it was just a whole different level, and that was really stood out. And I remember what was funny about that is because I wasn't supposed to go to the show in high school, and I told my parents I wasn't going to go to the show. And when I met up with everybody to like go drive downtown, there wasn't enough space for me in the car, so they actually put me in the trunk of the car, closed it up, and then we all went to the show. It's kind of a 16-year-old move there. So
yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
That was not the only time that you were in a trunk.
No, yeah, definitely not. Yeah. Another one I remember is the Miramar Theater, probably around the same time, 2006 or 2007, where it was Cougar Den and Red Knife Lottery and the plot to blow up the Eiffel Tower, and that was a pretty radical show.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty rad.
Okay. I think we should talk a little bit about the new album before we run out of time here, and I really like the packaging concept that you guys have. Can you talk a little bit about what it comes with and the inspiration for that?
Well, Sam drew all the art.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We put together a little lyric zine, and then there's a packet of pollinator seeds, and then there's a matchbook. So some of the topics that we discuss are in the lyrics of the song Fire Escape, we talk about lighting a match and throwing it away. And there's the first song on the record is dedicated to David Buckle, who self-immolated in Prospect Park in New York to protest our dependence on fossil fuels. So he doused himself in gasoline and self-immolated, and that concept of doing that and feeling like that's the only way to sort of take a stand, if that's sort of what you arrive at, that kind of stuck with me, and I found that really disturbing and kind of fixated on it for a year. I think this happened in April of 2018. So yeah, we started writing the album right around then and just kind of talking about this stuff, and that's that sort of tension that's represented there between here's matches, you can burn things, or here are some pollinator seeds, you can plant pollinator friendly habitats and do something positive for the future. Not to say that either is better or worse, but it's this tension is apparent, I think, and really top of mind right now.
And it's also kind of that dichotomy of angst and hope that you guys talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool.
Can you talk a little bit about the guests you had on your record too? Maybe give them a little shout out, because this one is it's a really melodic record for being a hardcore record, and you did some extra special stuff with the arrangements on this one.
Sure. Our friend Alaya plays violin on 2 of the songs, and our friend Caitlin Radloff plays cello, and our friend John Larkin plays trumpet on the last song. And all 3 are good friends of ours that have been in the DIY community for a little while. So,
John Larkin plays in Karen's. They're a pretty active band, and they're really beautiful.
Yeah. Yep, we've had them in here.
Yeah,
I think last year.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, and I know you just had your record release show, but are you planning any other live shows coming up real soon that people can see this configuration?
Yeah, we've got a show at the X-Ray Arcade next Wednesday, November 20th, with Show Me the Body, which is part of the Rat King Collective, I believe, in New York City, with Eurochrome's Mr. and us.
All right.
Okay.
All ages show, yeah.
That's a great venue, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can people find your record other than coming to a show?
It's available on Middleman Records, DIY label based in Lafayette, Indiana. Sean Decker runs that label, and they are responsible for all kinds of amazing music coming out of this very niche, very specific genre. And then Zegama Beach Records in Canada and in the U.S. too. They do Canadian distribution, and then and David Norman is kind of a similar, like a Canadian analog for Sean Decker in a way. But David also runs a blog called Open Mind Saturated Brain that is prolific. And then third is Dasein Records in Copenhagen, Denmark. So European listeners right now can hop on to the Dasein Bandcamp or what have you and check her out.
You can always hope.
Yeah.
But we were just super honored to be involved with those 3 labels that I think are putting out for what we're doing and like what this genre is, like they're kind of at the front of it and doing. They're really, really supportive of DIY communities. They are doing it themselves. Like it's one person like in their basement or garage or whatever, like doing stuff, and that's like we like that. That's kind of our thing too.
Yeah.
So we're honored to be part of them.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get you guys back out there for a couple more songs, and we will be right back with some live music. Stick with us. All right, we've got a couple more songs now, live from the Bob and Genie Friedman live performance studio. Once again, it's Snag.
Do you want me to tell you what's immoral? War is immoral. Poverty is immoral. Racism is immoral. Police brutality is immoral. Oppression is immoral. Genocide is immoral. Imperialism is immoral. This country represents all those things.
We are things laboring with the illusion of having a self, this accretion of sensory experience and feeling. Programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody.
Thank you for tuning in to tonight's edition of Local Live on WMSE. Local Live is a production of WMSE Radio, recorded and broadcast live from the Bob and Genie Friedman Live Performance Studio on the downtown campus of the Milwaukee School of Engineering. Local Live is produced by Erin Wolf and Cal Roach and engineered by Billy Cicerelli. All video by Moleskin Productions. Hospitality for Local Live artists is provided by Cedar Teeth Pizza, who can be found online at cedarteeth.com, Anodyne Coffee Roasting Company at anodynecoffee.com, and by Sprecher Brewing Company at spreckerbrewery.com. For local live videos, follow us at WMSE Milwaukee on YouTube. For upcoming guests and archives of past local live performances, visit WMSE.org. And tune in again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another edition of Local Live.